So we have Premiere open now. So I think the last time I made this project file, it was probably a different version of Premiere. I feel like it's updating like every other week, so we don't always keep up with that. But I'm just gonna name it after the couple. Simple enough. All right, and then I'm just gonna make sure everything is going where I want it. So we're gonna go to sequence here and we're gonna go sequence settings. Just make sure everything looks good here. And then I want to go to preferences. So edit, preferences, media cache. And we have a folder on our hard drive for any extra stuff to go to. And we got the database on there as well. I think everything is good. So you'll see here we have some folders already made in here. Sometimes we'll maybe have logos and stuff like that already in place, especially if it's a same day edit. We're already going to have this stuff in there just to be safe. We'll even have like our color correction template in place. But as you'll see here, we have a folder for sequences, footage, audio, music, and graphics. Those usually kind of cover everything that we might need. So in sequences here, we got one for our full DVD, which would be, you know, full ceremony, full reception, all the other extra goodies you get in a longer edit. We have the short film, which is the main attraction. And then we have our dance footage. We have ceremony, raw, and reception raw. So these will be used so we can drop in all of the footage from the ceremony and the reception, and that way we can easily sync it all. I'll usually then make a few other sequences that aren't in here right now. So I'll maybe make one for prep, and then I'll make one for photo session, and these aren't exactly the right size. We don't think we want standard definition, but just so you get an idea. And then that way I can kind of keep everything a little bit more organized. So even though we organize it in the folders, it's kind of nice just to go through everything, grab the clip I want out of the longer version, grab the shot I want out of that clip, and then kind of move on to the next thing so it's all ready. So let's go back one, and we're going to go into our footage folder. And then we are going to pull up our media browser, which is right here. And we're going to locate our footage now that it's all nice and organized. And we're right here, footage. And then I am going to take all of this, let me put it over here, and I'm going to drag all this into our footage folder in Premiere. And this will take a little bit of time, so we'll let it do its thing. Our footage is now in. As you can see, it is generating everything down here. I typically will try to let that finish before I start anything, just because I don't want to screw anything up. I've actually had a situation where I was really eager to start editing right away, and a lot of my files didn't have their audio, and because I had started early, they never regained their audio. So pretty much, even though I started and was trying to get a head start, I ended up just wasting time because I had to just start over and re-import everything again. So you don't want to mess with Premiere too much when it's doing stuff, because it seems to not like that. So the next folder we'll need to get in here is our audio. So I'll back up here, and I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to drag these in and let it do its thing. Audio is usually much faster unless you're recording a lot of audio. Now that is in here. What we would normally do next is we would start preparing for pluralize. So the two main things that are going to go through pluralize are going to be the ceremony raw footage and the reception raw footage. Sometimes we'll maybe take, like, say for example, the first look if it was a little bit more complicated of a first look, or the letter readings if we had multiple cameras going on, multiple audio sources, you know, anything that's kind of requiring two or more cameras, two or more audio sources, and is just long, or multiple clips in a long sequence. We like to bring in the pluralize because it's way easier to sync things up that way instead of trying to do it manually. That would not be fun, and we've had to do that before, and it's not a good time. So what we would do here is we would go to our footage, and we're going to need all of our ceremony and reception stuff. So let's see, we got that here. So I like to usually put the wide camera as kind of like the one at the first camera. It's just the way I've kind of worked, and it just works pretty well for me. And then we'll just drag all of these in here. And this will be a great test because we have a newer computer, and it'd be great to see how it handles all of this stuff thrown at it. So we get all of those clips in there, and then we also need to get our audio in there. So if I go back here, go to audio, and we're going to need anything that has to do with the reception for this sequence. So this one we do not need. This one we do not need either. This is where the reception audio comes into play. So I think it starts here. So we're going to just grab the two that we need right here. And then we are also going to get and that is our reception, and it is ready to go. And then let's finish up the ceremony. So one thing I've always heard is it's good to have the video track and the audio track on the same number. So like for example, camera A is on V1 and it's also on A1. I don't know if it's accurate or not, but I've heard if sometimes like say you have it on V1 but then A3, it might not have as easy of a time syncing. Also, it's important to have audio. Even if it's not the best audio, it's going to help a lot with the syncing. So now that this is all ready, what we would do is we go to File, Export, Final Cut Pro XML. Probably didn't think you were going to be seeing any Final Cut in a Premiere tutorial, but this is kind of like an old-fashioned way of doing it, I guess. I know there's like a plugin now, I think, for Pluralize that's been out for a little while, but I just want to show this way in case for some reason you cannot use your plugin for right now, or it's not working, or whatever the case might be. This is kind of a nice thing to know about, so you have a different way of going about this. Alright, so now that our dialog box is up, I'm going to find our projects folder and our Pluralize folder that we made earlier. Now we're going to open up Pluralize here so we can get this synced. And we're going to go to File, New Project from Premiere Pro. And we're going to find our folder here. So once we have both of these in here, it's going to automatically start preparing the media. What I'm going to do is go to Sync, click on Try Really Hard. Seems like it typically helps. And then you just hit Sync right here. Do the same thing with the other one. And we wait.